Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight on our news.
Lawyers make their cases in a hearing for a judicial review into the Boundaries Commission report. That story straight ahead.
The Minister of Labor responds to backlash following recent boundary cuts. That story is coming up straight ahead.
The fear of crime in the Anglican community is real. The full story coming up.
Plus, why Dr. Andre Rollins says he would gladly go back to the Free National Movement. Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina McNeil. Topping news tonight, 2 members of Parliament appeared in the Supreme Court today seeking an application for leave to begin judicial review proceedings over the Draft Constituencies Commission report. After their attempt to have debate halted in the House of Assembly failed, the 2 MPs are now hoping to stop the report from being gazetted. Jasmine Brown reports.
During that nearly 2-hour-long hearing, both Klein and Scott argued their points. Michael Scott, who represents Fort Charlotte MP Dr. Andre Rollins and Montague MP Richard Lightburn, called the 2017 Boundaries Report illegal as it was completed more than 2 months late. He also labeled it tainted, infected with error, and biased. During his argument, Scott also announced his intention to seek leave to get an interim injunction against the Governor General. Outside court, Scott told reporters their initial plan was to get an injunction to stop the Boundaries Report from being tabled and debated in Parliament. But since that has already happened, they plan on filing for an injunction against the Governor General.
The draft report passed yesterday by the House of Assembly. It's to quash that report by way of an order of certiorari. And if necessary, to obtain an injunction in due course to prevent it being brought into effect by way of gazetted proclamation under Article 70, Clause 8 of the Constitution. Scott appeared before Justice Ian Winder on Thursday morning along with attorney Lauren Klein, who represented the Attorney General's office. Rollins and Lightburn are challenging the constitutionality and legality of the 2017 Boundaries Report. Winder must determine if there is a case to be heard for judicial review. Scott says they plan on filing that injunction early next week. When asked if he fears the report would be gazetted before their filing, he admitted that's a real concern.
What's to stop the government from having the report gazetted between now and Tuesday?
Nothing unless I get an injunction, and that is what I will be asking for when I go back to see Mr. Justice Winder. Yeah. Okay. You see, because the effect, let me tell you, and let's be very clear on this, if the government does this, and this is what all...
Is that fair, though? Is that a fair...
That is a fair, and I expressed that to the judge today in court.
Inside court, Klein said he believes Scott's points do not provide sufficient evidence for a judicial review. However, he acknowledged Scott's submission that the report violates a provision in the Constitution that it should be completed once every 5 years. Klein dismissed that as politics and not a matter for the courts, asserting it does not give rise to a sustainable application. Winder is expected to announce his decision on Tuesday. Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Well, Fort Charlotte MP Dr. Andre Rollins and constitutional lawyer Michael Scott say they are both shocked that debate on the 2017 draft order for constituency boundaries report went ahead despite their bid for a judicial review. Yesterday, House Speaker Dr. Kendall Major, who serves as the Constituency Commission's chairman, said no court can injunct Parliament and insisted debate on the boundaries report would continue.
Notwithstanding the fact that we commenced these proceedings, the Speaker went ahead and debated and allowed the report to be tabled and debated yesterday. He took the view that there was no merit in our case at all, which actually shocked me.
When he attempted to argue his position in Parliament yesterday, Rollins was met with fierce opposition from the Speaker and members of the governing side. When asked how he felt about his failed efforts outside court today, Rollins gave this response.
I believe that the Speaker has lost any appearance of impartiality or neutrality.
Well, in the face of a legal challenge, Golden Gates MP Shane Gibson today defended the new boundaries report, insisting the boundary cuts are nothing new. Gibson says Rollins and Lightburn are simply craving attention. Giorgio Bain reports.
Minister of Labor and Golden Gates MP Shane Gibson says those making a big deal about recent boundary cuts are only looking to make headlines because they know within themselves that nothing is going to come out of it. As Andre Rollins and Richard Lightbourne headed to the Supreme Court today to challenge the legality of the boundaries report, Gibson insisted he is not worried about the legal action taken by attention seekers.
That's the headlines, that's all it is. They know nothing can come out of that. What can come out of that? It's very clear as how these things are done. Richard Lightman's a lawyer, he knows better, right? And so, you know, Andre will do anything to grab headlines. Anything he needs to say or do to grab headlines, he'll do it. He does it all the time. And so they know that nothing will come out of that court case, but they decided they'll do it to grab the headlines, and here we are talking about it.
Gibson also responded to Free National Movement leader Dr. Hubert Minnis and DNA leader Branville McCartney, who have accused the government of gerrymandering.
If you check the debate, if you check the contributions of the debates from as far back as you want to go, you would always hear the same tone from the government and the same tone from the opposition. They would say gerrymandering. They would say you want to have your way. Well, who else's way should I have if I'm in charge? If I'm in charge, you should have your way. It don't work that way. Whoever's in charge will have their way. Now, if they would do the same thing. They would try and see how they could cut the seats in a way that they think it should be done.
According to Gibson, their accusations are just an attempt to rile up voters.
If the government of the day has a majority of persons on the Boundaries Commission, then wouldn't the government of the day decide what they want to do? And if they want to change the name, they change the name. Names don't make a difference to people. I don't understand why they're making this big deal out of Freetown. Freetown was there before. It was changed, right? Adi Hanna, Arnstown was there, or whatever, it's gone now, right? They change it. I mean, there are other names that they change as well, but it really don't make a difference because the people will still have to vote at the end of the day.
Reporting for our news, I'm Georgia Bain.
And as debate on that report heated up in Parliament last evening, Fort Charlotte MP Dr. Andre Rollins said he will do whatever it takes to get rid of the Progressive Liberal Party government, even if that means crawling back to the Free National Movement and the leader he expressed no confidence in. Vonique Toot reports.
It is said in the past that Mr. Perry Christie, the Right Honorable Member for Centerville, was prepared to swim in his vomit to return to the PLP. Well, I will tell you this, for the record right now, I will never swim in any vomit. But if I have to get back within the Free National Movement and run in this next election to make sure that the PLP has no chance whatsoever of regaining power, let me tell you something. That is something I will be prepared to do.
Rollins was elected to Parliament on the PLP's ticket in 2012 before he quit the party to join the FNM. However, he and 6 other FNM MPs, including Loretta Butler Turner, Richard Lightbourne, and Edison Key, wrote a letter to the Governor General last year expressing a lack of confidence in Minnis' leadership. Rollins says Minnis may no longer be the opposition leader, but he is still leader of the FNM. The Fort Charlotte MP urged other members of the Rebel 7 to join him.
If I go anywhere, I want the member for Montague to go with me. I want the member for Central Grand Bahama to go with me. I want the member for Northern Lutra to go with me. I want the member for St. Anne's to go with me. I want the member for South Abaco to go with me.
Central and South Abaco MP Edison Key quickly shattered that illusion, asserting he will never return to the FNM as long as Minnis is its leader.
I appreciate the member, but I can assure him that I, Edison Key, the member for Central South Abaco, will not be going back to the FNM with the present leader. Thank you very much.
Rollins said though some people have described him as angry, he is a fighter and no ego will prevent what is in the best interest of the country.
The side opposite, notwithstanding all of the efforts to try and paint the picture of disunity, we will have to do what we have to do, even if it means that as persons who are not necessarily in love with each other, we will set aside those differences. Why? Because we love this country more than we love each other.
The Fort Charlotte MP said, like many Bahamians, he is fed up with the way governments have allowed the country to descend into utter chaos because they are more interested in getting power than using that power to effectively govern the country.
My objective is to make sure that in this next election, the FNM becomes the next government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Knowing full well, Mr. Speaker, knowing full well that I believe that with the right team in place, we can, in fact, have the ability, to live up to the potential that we have to set this country on the right path.
Minnis was asked last week if he would welcome the so-called Rebel 7 back into the FNM.
Anything's possible within this world. I cannot talk to that matter at this particular time. At this particular time, I am more focused on moving the PLP, and we would do what is necessary to do that.
Reporting for our News, I'm Vonnie Toot.
In other news, one day after National Security Minister Dr. Bernard Nottage outlined the government's newest crime-fighting initiatives, our News took to the streets to see just how safe people actually feel. Kyle Joaquin has that story.
Walking through the Angliston community and speaking with the people about the country's crime problem, you'd hear different views. You'd find some who aren't that concerned at all, some who are a bit worried, and some so frightened they want to leave the island.
When dark reach, I stay inside. I stay inside, friend.
Well, that's not the way you want to be living, though.
No, not really, but you ain't got much of a choice now.
Freddie Pinder has lived in the Angliston community for years, but the escalation of crime, particularly murders, has made it a nerve-wracking experience just going in and out of his home during certain hours. So much so, packing up and leaving seems like the best option.
You ain't got much of a choice now. The way things are going, you know.
And you plan on living here for the rest of your life?
No, I think I'm soon go to the island to live.
Well, why is that? Just for retirement, or you just for...
Well, I'm not, you can't hardly enjoy yourself anymore. You don't feel free to walk around like you used to, you know, or to go places. I don't hardly go out, you know. It's crime.
Serious?
Yeah, very serious.
We're only in the middle of February, and already there have been 28 murders for the year, with 6 occurring this past weekend alone. The spike prompted National Security Minister Dr. Bernard Nottage to announce several anti-crime strategies, including lockdowns, mobile police vans, and random searches of suspicious individuals. But in areas like this one, considered to be a hotspot, some residents like Amy Bethel say it's not the people from Angliston causing the problem.
I've grown up here all my life. I live right to the corner there of Washington Street, and my grandmother grew us up around here for years. We don't have no problem with living in this area. A lot of people say there's crime here, but people who don't live here come here and do this crime.
She said there needs to be more programs for the young men in her area to keep them out of trouble. Then there are those businessmen like Reverend Donald Dorset, owner of Dorset's Food Store in the heart of this community. He said he isn't afraid of crime in the area, but like everyone else, he's concerned.
The only hope for us here in this area really is for us to get together as a people and to try and combat and see how best we can quell what's going on here. But here in my shop, you see, the thing with me, Christ lives here in this shop.
But the community isn't all bad. Angliston has produced some of the brightest minds in the country as well. However, with lives being lost to violence throughout New Providence, this Angliston resident doesn't see it getting any better.
Gunman, you're supposed to be set. You ain't supposed to be doing no nonsense. Hurting the innocent, the weak, the poor and the meek. Type of gunman you is. And you got strand out there who trying to get you out and you ain't going at them. You ain't no serious man. You know? So right there you can see more of this man, you ain't see nothing yet. And I ain't looking for it, but that's just reality. You know, these things can happen. The word that's spoken, man, these things can happen. If these people don't care and go back to the word daddy, they can see more blood. Blood can be higher than horse bridle, man.
Reporting for our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Still to come on our News, the back and forth continues over pay for hundreds of customs workers, how Jamaica is reaping the benefits of liquefied natural gas, and the Cacique Awards Lifetime Achievement Award winner revealed. That's coming up when our News returns.